In 1914, Europe sat upon a powder keg of rival empires and ancient grudges. Beneath the elegance of the Belle Époque, a century of peace was fracturing. Behind palace doors, monarchs and diplomats played a high-stakes game of shadows. Sarajevo, June 28. A wrong turn changed the course of human history. 2 shots rang out, shattering the silence and ending the lives of an archduke and his wife. The machinery of war groaned to life as ultimatums were signed in ink and blood. A web of secret alliances pulled the continent into the abyss, nation by nation. Young men marched to the stations, convinced they would be home before the leaves fell. Factories breathed fire, forging the steel that would soon tear the world apart. The Great War began not with a whimper, but with the thunder of a million boots. From the Swiss border to the sea, a jagged wound was carved into the earth. Life for the soldier became a cycle of mud, rats, and the smell of damp wool. Artillery became the new god of war, raining iron from miles beyond the horizon. Night offered no sanctuary, only the terrifying bloom of shells lighting the carnage. A whistle's blow signaled the desperate charge across a landscape of nightmares. Between the lines lay no man's land, a frozen hell of wire and broken dreams. Steel monsters emerged from the fog, signaling the end of the age of cavalry. Above the clouds, the first knights of the air fought and died in fragile machines. Great leviathans haunted the night sky, bringing the terror of war to civilian doorsteps. On the high seas, dreadnoughts traded salvos in a battle for the world's lifelines. Beneath the waves, a silent predator waited to strike without warning or mercy. The sinking of merchant ships turned the tide of global opinion against the aggressors. A yellow mist rolled over the trenches, the birth of modern, invisible horror. In the dim light of medical tents, healers fought a losing battle against industrial death. At home, a new army of women kept the pulse of the nation beating in the factories. Fields grew silent as the harvest was left to the elderly and the grieving. Hunger became a weapon as bread lines stretched through the cold city streets. Walls were plastered with promises of glory to mask the mounting toll of the lost. The presses never stopped, churning out news of victories that felt like defeats. Electric pulses carried the weight of casualty lists and frantic commands across the wire. 1917, a sleeping giant stirred as America prepared to cross the Atlantic. Fresh faces arrived in European ports, bringing hope to a continent on its knees. The final offensive began, a coordinated surge of men and metal against the breaking lines. At the limit of endurance, the guns finally began to fall silent across the front. They returned to a landscape of ghosts, where cities had been reduced to dust. In a railway carriage in Compiègne, the signatures were dried. The fighting was over. At the 11th hour, bells rang out for a peace many feared would never come. Joy erupted in the streets, yet every cheer was haunted by the shadows of the missing. Silence returned to the fields, now marked by endless rows of white crosses. At Versailles, the victors gathered to redraw the world and settle the heavy debt. Empires crumbled into history, replaced by new nations seeking their own identity. But the peace was fragile, built on the ruins of economies and broken spirits. Unrest simmered in the shadows as the people demanded a future worth their sacrifice. A League of Nations rose from the ashes, a desperate hope to end all future wars. Monuments of stone were raised so that the world might never forget the cost. A new generation looked back at the maps, learning the hard lessons of the Great War. Out of the fire came a new era of technology, forever changing how we live and move. The survivors walked a different world, carrying scars that no medicine could reach. 4 years of struggle had redefined the human experience from 1914 to the end. The borders shifted, the names changed, but the memory of the conflict remained etched in earth. Today, the sun rises over peaceful fields, a silent testament to the millions who fell.